It looks like, okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. I thought there was nobody watching, so I'm letting in the dog. I'm chatting with my daughter, and that's a-okay. If you are new here, if we haven't met before, my name is Kathy. I'm a physical therapist, and I'm brand new to going live in a vertical stream. So I did turn on that if you want to make a comment, you have to be subscribed, because I've seen some not so great things happen before in the live stream, and the people that would normally be my moderators, they're not in the house at the moment. So I just want to make sure that we keep everything clean and safe and fun for everybody, including me. So this is very exciting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a few exercises for my legs, and then I'm also going to do maybe a few exercises for my arms. I did do the arms a couple days ago. It's been a couple more since I've done my legs, so definitely need to get some leg exercises in. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start with, and I'm just trying to get my bearings here on being in the frame, because I want you to be able to see this. And as a physical therapist, I think sometimes it's more fun when you have somebody to do exercises with you. You don't necessarily need me if you don't have any problems to tell you what exercises are best for you. But if you want to join me, you can grab a chair. Today I'm going to be using a resistance band, but if you don't have a resistance band, I can show you how to use it, how to do the exercises without a band. And it looks like somebody said something. Hey, oh, it's Neppy. Hey, hi, Neppy. Yeah, I guess I don't have to type anything in to say hello. So anyways, I'm excited that you're here. I decided to do a live in vertical just because I thought it would be something interesting to see. I don't know how long you've been in here, but I did set it so only subscribers could comment, because I was afraid of shenanigans and I wanted it to be friendly and nice for everybody involved here. So I didn't really make a lot of notes, but I do know how to exercise my legs. So I'm just starting off with a little warm up. Now, when you're warming up, if you have trouble with your arms, or not trouble with your arms, trouble with your balance, you could hold a chair. But if you don't have trouble with your balance, you could add in some arm movements and just swing your arms back and forth. And so we're just marching right in place here. And that's what we're doing. Okay. So we're just marching. And you could also lift up the arms and let them come down. Get a little bit of motion in this way. And anyways, as I was saying, as a physical therapist, sometimes I think people don't like to exercise because they think it's either boring or they don't have anybody to exercise with. So I thought, if maybe you're at home and maybe you're a little bit older and you haven't exercised in a while, now I'm just going to add in a few arm circles as I go. And since it's hard for me to count and talk and do two things at the same time, I'm just going to go like this, and then we'll go in reverse, take a little break from the marching. But anyways, what I wanted you to do is, if you're at home and you're scrolling along and you happen to see this lady, who's me, Kathy, a physical therapist, show up in your live stream, then maybe that's your cue that you could exercise too. So if you can, get up, grab a chair, and just follow along with me. So the next thing I'm going to do is just a little bit of up and down on my toes. I'm going to go straight up in the air, and the family's coming in. So I'm just going to let them know that I'm live streaming, just so that they know. Hey, Michael, I'm live streaming. All right, so sorry about that. That's not what I expected. I didn't expect anybody home for about another hour. So anyways, that's what is happening. So anyways, back to the heel raises. I'm up and down on the toes. And what this is going to do is it's going to strengthen the muscles in the calves. Um, it's good to do this kind of on the slow side so that you get the full benefit. And if it's really easy for you because maybe you're a little bit more fit and this is too easy, what you could do is just do it up and down with 1 foot at a time. For me, I feel like 2 is hard enough. I don't need to make it any harder. So I'm just going to go up and down on my toes. Okay. Here we go. Just like that. And that's why Jersey was barking, because she's very protective when I'm home and there's hardly anybody else here. Usually there's a lot of folks in the house, but she likes to, pretend that she's going to rescue me if I need rescuing. So that's what she was doing. Just protecting the home front. So when you've done maybe 10 or 20 of up and down on the toes, you can go ahead and stretch your calf muscles. So I'm just going to go ahead and stretch back this way. I've got the knee in front is bent. The one in back is straight, and I'm pressing my heel into the floor, the one, in this case, my right leg here. And I'm just holding here lightly. It may look like I'm pushing on here, but I'm really not. I'm just using this for a little bit of balance. And I'm going by what I feel in the back of my right calf. So right now I feel a good stretch. If it wasn't giving me an adequate stretch, what I could do is just bend the knee that's in front a little bit more and press the heel down that's in back. And just go until you feel a good stretch. So for this one, holding it anywhere from 30 seconds or more, and then you can go ahead and switch over to the other side. Alrighty. So I've switched over. Now I've got my right leg in front. I'm just bending that right knee until I feel a comfortable stretch and holding it right around 30 seconds or so. Okay. Alrighty. And I don't know how much picks up on this microphone when I'm live like this, but the dog is drinking water right now and it's pretty loud. So hopefully it's not too bad. Alrighty. Sneaking through the tripod. Who's a good girl? You're a good girl. Okay. Very good. So we're stretching back on the left one more time. And when you're stretching, you can do 2 or 3 on each leg. It depends on how tight you are. It doesn't really make too much, you go by what you feel. So if you feel a good stretch after 2, that's great. If you feel like you need to go a little bit more, you can go ahead and stretch 3 on each side or more. If you do a few more stretches, as long as you're not going too vigorously, an extra couple of stretches is great. And it really depends on how often you stretch and how tight you are as well. Here we go. There we go. And I just wanted to say hello to my new subscriber, Running Away from Home. Well, welcome. And I hope you're not really running away from home, unless it's in a good way. So let me just get a drink of water. Sometimes I have a glass of electrolytes, but today I'm just sticking with the water. Just trying to stay hydrated. So the next exercise I'm going to do is going to be a sit to stand. And what I'm going to do is I've got this 8-pound ball here. Now, if you are a little bit, say you don't have a ball, what you can do is just sit in your sturdy chair. And if you're a little bit weaker, you might want to push up from the chair. But if not, you can just go ahead, put your hands together and hinge forward from the hips and stand up. Now for me, that's a little bit on the easy side. So what I'm going to do is just take my weighted ball. And if you don't have a ball, you could use a light weight. This one here is about 4 pounds. And just hold whatever you happen to have, whether it's a weight or a weighted ball, at about chest height. Hinge forward from the hips and stand up. Now, these are a little bit more challenging for most people than, say, like the heel raises. So you just do what you can. So I'm going to start with maybe around 10 of these, and then I'll take a little break, and then I'll do 10 more. Alrighty. Let's see. 7, 8, 9, and 10. Alrighty. I'm going to rest back down for just a few minutes, or maybe a minute or so. I'm not going to rest too long because I feel pretty good overall. So, and today we've been having, it's so weird in my area right now, we're supposed to be getting into the fall season. And actually the weather today, I think we're up to 80 degrees. It's just been beautiful. And that's 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's pretty sunny. So it's been lovely. So after this, I'll probably be going for a walk later on with my daughter. And I'm actually thinking about going to one of the amusement parks that's not too far away, maybe tomorrow, to enjoy that. We've got the season pass, so we've got a few more days of that available to us. And if the weather's like this, I don't want to miss out. Not that we like many of the roller coasters and the rides, but it's kind of cool because they have the like the Halloween things going on, and they have different shows that the kids like. So we might be doing that. Alrighty. And once again, because I talk a lot instead of counting, I think this is close to 10. Now, if you're watching, I would love to know where you're from. I know I've got someone watching from Finland, and I might also have someone watching from the same state as me if they are. So I would love to know where you're from. Alrighty, so for the next exercise, I think what I'll do is I'll just sit down. This is an elastic band. If you don't happen to have one of these elastic bands, you could put some light weights on your ankles. The other thing that you could do is just do the exercise without anything, without any resistance, and that'll be just fine, especially if you're just starting out, because this is going to target the muscles in the side of the legs. So I'm just going to turn this around here, just like so, just so I can hold the back of the chair. Now, if your balance isn't so great, you probably would want to do these maybe standing at a counter. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bend the knee of the leg that's stationary, and I'm going to kick back. When I'm doing these, I'm keeping the core muscles activated by drawing the belly button into the spine, and I'm just kicking back just like that. And we'll start with about 10. And I'll give myself credit for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Alrighty. So we'll go ahead, switch over and get the right leg. Again, we want a small bend in the stance leg. That's going to allow the muscles in the hip and around the knee to contract and help you to stabilize. Belly button to the spine, that helps us keep our posture as I'm kicking back, because as we're doing this, we don't want to be tipping forward and we don't want to be arching our back too much. So by bending the knee and engaging those core muscles, it helps us to keep the upper body in a good alignment. Here we go. We'll call that number 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And I'll switch back over to the other side. And so bend in the stance leg, core muscles are engaged, trying to keep that posture nice and upright. There's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Alrighty. And if you're exercising at home, it's good to do, depending on your fitness level, you'll want to do between 2 and 3 sets of each exercise targeting the major muscle groups. And you can do anywhere between 8 and 12 repetitions, typically is a good amount. And you'll want to work the arms, the major muscle groups about twice a week so that you can stay healthy. Especially as we get a little bit older, maybe we're not doing a lot of the things that we had done when we were younger. Maybe some of the sports that we used to do, or some of the other activities that we used to do on a more regular basis, we're not able to do those. So it's really important to continue exercising, even up into our elder years. So anyway, so we're going to be doing hip abduction next, and that just means bringing the leg out to the side. So I'm going to put a little bend in my stance leg. I guess I'll start by moving my right. So a little bend in my stance leg, which is my left leg, core muscles engaged again, and I'm just kicking out to the side. And like I said, if you don't have a resistance band, that's perfectly fine. You can do the same exercise without using anything at all, or if you have a small cuff weight, you can put that right around your ankle. Now, when you're doing these, if having the band further down irritates your joints, maybe you've got a little bit of arthritis, maybe this bothers your knee, what you can do is, instead of having the band at your ankle, you can put it just above your knees, and that gives it a shorter lever arm, which means there's less force on the joints, and it just makes it a little bit easier. So we'll go ahead and we'll do the sets like this. Here we go. And this pink band is considered to be a lighter resistance. If you are a little bit stronger, you might want a heavier resistance if you're doing these. Now for the next one, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn to the side, and we're coming out like so. Alrighty. And I don't know, I'll have to check the viewer and see if you can see Jersey. She's laying right next to me here. If I were horizontal, you would be able to see her, but she's just relaxing. Alrighty. And I think this is close to 10. Alrighty. And we'll come back this way and we'll show it from this view again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And every time I say a number, her little eyebrows go up. Alrighty, here we go. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And there's 2 sets of that one. So I'm just going to go ahead, take the band off my legs, but I'll sit down to do it. Sometimes I just bend over to do it, but I just want to make sure I don't cause any injuries to myself as I'm doing this. So let's see, is there anything here? Already, Miss Weber. Okay, let me see here. Oh, Nurse Carolyn, hi. How are you doing? Oh, alrighty, I've got my friends here. This is perfect. Okay, alrighty. So Nurse Carolyn, do you have any special requests today? We're taking special requests for my special subscribers. So, oh, hello, Jersey. Yes, yes. Can you see her? Yep, you can see her paw, I guess, in the thing. So as I'm looking at my screen here, I can see a little bit of the vertical stream. So it's kind of different. So I don't know how long you've been watching, Nurse Carolyn, but I started at about 2:15, and it's the very first time that I've ever gone live in vertical. So It's a little nerve-wracking. I've said it so only the subscribers can comment, because I didn't want any of the shenanigans. So anyways, that's great. So let's see. We did the sit to stands, the heel raises. I'm going to go ahead and do some stationary squats. And if anybody has any special requests for an exercise, let me know. Then we can do it together. So like I said, I think sometimes people find exercises kind of boring. And sometimes if you just, have somebody to chat with, maybe you don't like going to a gym, there's a lot of reasons why people don't exercise, but it's so important. And if I can help somebody feel a little bit motivated to get out there and do a couple of sit to stands or heel raises or something like that, that'll be fantastic. So with the stationary lunges, I think I said something else earlier, but with the stationary lunges, I'm going to have my left foot forward and my right foot back. And I'm going to try to keep my body upright as we go. And I'm trying to make sure that my toes don't go in or out as I lower the leg behind me and come back up. So I'm just trying to come up just like this. You do want to be careful on these because it's easy to get a little tweak in the knee if you don't let those knees stay lined up. And it's okay if your knee comes in front of your toes. Now, one of my live streams that I did a little while back, there was a bit of discussion about whether or not it's okay to let the knees go in front of your toes. And I would say as long as it doesn't hurt, it's very functional, and it's okay to let your knee come in front of your toes, because eventually you might want to squat down to the floor to pick something up, and chances are your knees are going to be in front of your toes. Alrighty. And I always like to say on this one, if you're a little bit weaker when you're doing your stationary lunges, you could put the chair on the side, something like this, but you won't be able to see me as well if I do it like this, but you get the idea, just to have something else to hold on to, just like that. There we go. And now I'm going to turn around and get the other side, but I'll move the chair just so you can see. And so inside leg is forward, and I'm just making sure my knee's not going in or out, trying to keep my body fairly upright, making sure that I'm only going down as far as I can to comfortably get back up, and just really listening to my body on these. Because when you don't listen to your body, that's when things can go wrong. And usually, as long as something isn't hurting while you're doing it, it'll be okay. But you wouldn't want to do a lot of these if you've never done them before you know how your body's going to respond. So just be gentle with yourself. Take as many breaks as you need to. And if something doesn't feel right, you'll probably want to stop. Okay, I'm going to do one more set of these, and then I'll check the chat in just a minute. So I don't know. Yeah, this is a lot different for me, because usually with my chats, I go live in horizontal, or I have gone live in horizontal. And I've only had like a couple of people watching at one time. And I thought that was good until I kind of figure out what I'm doing, because I've had some rough starts with these trying to go live, which is fine. And so it's a lot of processing when you're looking at the chat and trying to do an exercise and trying to talk. At least for me, I'm kind of awkward and uncoordinated. So if you're more awkward or less awkward and more coordinated than me, it probably doesn't seem like that much. But for me, it's a lot of input and a lot of processing. And so it's hard for me to try to do more than one thing at a time. which is, it's okay. I can accept my limitations. Alrighty, so we're switching over. One last set over here. Just making sure I stay upright and just come down what I can. There's 2. I'm going to slide this way a little bit. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. There we go. Alrighty. I think I need a break, even if you don't. So let me get some water. And let's see. Something for a bad knee that just had an injection yesterday. How about an ice pack for the knee that just had an injection yesterday? So, for a knee that just had an injection yesterday, I would not be too gung-ho, depending on what your doctor said, to get back into doing a lot of heavy work. However, one thing that can help people who have a bit of arthritis in their knees is just a little bit of, if you can get in a chair where your legs are swinging back and forth, just a little bit of gentle swinging back and forth can be really good because it just keeps moving the synovial fluid. The synovial fluid is the fluid that's in your joints, like your knee and your hip and your shoulders. And just keeping that fluid in motion is important. Another thing you could do is if you had a rocking chair, you could rock back and forth because that would also get the knee going. And that's also good for the hips. If you've got some stiff hips, rocking in the rocking chair can be a gentle way to get some movement in there. And if your chair is low, like this, my foot is having a hard time with that. I'm just going to come in this little drawer here and see if I can find like a little tea towel. And I've got 2. And what I'm going to do is I'm rolling up the tea towel and putting it under my thigh. And what that's going to do is it's going to make that leg stay up off the floor a little bit. And I can just gently swing my knee back and forth a little bit. If you wanted to, you could extend all the way, but that just gives you just a little bit of motion. But really, if you just had an injection, especially if it was like a cortisone injection, I would follow whatever your doctor said, follow that first. And if you're just looking for a little bit of gentle motion, that would be great. And if you're able to walk a short distance, maybe go for a short walk, maybe 20, 30 minutes, that would be great. Okay, let's see, where are we? I don't know. Okay, there we go. Welcome. Okay, I'm just trying to see how to see everything here, so I'm not so sure about that. Let me look over here. Okay, so I did have, oh, wow. Yeah, when I first started, I had like close to 20 people. Alrighty, so anyways, back to my workout. Let's see. Well, I'm going to go ahead and put this back on my legs. And I am going to do some of the lateral walks. And again, I think I'm going to go ahead and put this up above my knees. Like I said before, if you have it below your knees, it just makes it a little bit harder. Up above the knees is a little bit easier. And I'm going to move this out of the way. Now, if you have any trouble with your balance at all, what you can do is put the chair in front. And what that will do is it'll just give you something to hold on to. So if you should lose your balance, but I already know that my balance is good enough. So I'm not worried about that. And since I'm in a limited space here, what I'll do is I'll just start close to the counter and I'll just take 2 good steps to one side and 2 good steps back. And I'm when I'm doing this, I want to take a wider step to step across. Again, we're keeping the stomach muscles activated to kind of keep that posture, but it's kind of a little bit of a squat position to come across. And I love this one for the hips. I think this is great because when I do this, I really feel it working in my favorite muscle, which is the gluteus medius. I like it because when it's nice and strong, it helps keep your pelvis level when you're walking. And it's just important for a lot of the things that we do. So, and oftentimes it gets neglected. So a lot of times people don't do anything to work that muscle and it gets weak. And that's when you see a lot of problems with walking and in the hips and things like that. So we'll just do a few over here. There we go. Alrighty, so, well, that's just perfect. Okay, we're just gonna go this way. And alrighty, I feel like that's pretty good on these. Again, I'm not counting and I don't have a countdown timer for me. So just gonna take a little bit. Okay, yeah. Okay, very good. So you were able to walk 2 miles earlier with very little discomfort. That's amazing. That is amazing. So yeah, that's great. So if you're having trouble, always check with your doctor. Whoops, pen on the floor. I don't want to trip over that. The next one I'm going to do is some people call it a monster walk. Some people call it a cowboy walk. I was thinking recently that maybe ninja walk might be another good one. You've got the band around your knees. And for this one, you want to keep your legs wide apart. And as you advance your leg forward, you're keeping the feet apart and a couple of steps in each direction, and we'll turn around. And that's going to work the muscles in the front of the hips a little bit. So there we go. I think that's good on that. So for the distance here. So got to keep the legs wide on this one and keep a nice bend in the knees so that as you go, and this works the front of the hips. This is one of the favorite ones. Okay, let me just, all right, very good. Okay. So we're coming apart here, keeping the knees apart, keeping the feet apart as we go forward and back. Good. Here we go. And we're going across again. And so here we go. For those of you who may not know, I'm Kathy. I am a physical therapist and I have uploads every Wednesday. And I've been going live about once a week. And if that sounds good for you, I'd love for you to join me. The lives have been kind of casual, something like this, where I'm basically doing my personal workout and kind of teaching as I go a little bit. So you'll see me do a lot of the similar exercises because they really are my favorite exercises that I show. And a lot of times these are the ones, you know, for certain people that I will give them these exercises in the clinic when I'm working. Here we go. And I think that's pretty good on those. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off. Alrighty. And I don't have any ankle weights handy, but I think what I'm going to do is just get another drink of water. And I want to, oh, you know what? You cannot see. You have to see these. Hold on. Earlier in the week, one of my former patients came by for a visit and he brought these. Oh, can you see these? All right, I'll show you here. These lovely flowers. And I just thought that was so nice. And I knew it had been a while since I had seen him, but it was like 10 years ago. So beautiful flowers from a person. And I just thought that was so nice. So they were in my office all week, but since it's Friday, I'm not going to be there. And so I figured I'd bring them home and enjoy them. So Jersey wants out. Give me like 2 shakes. She's right behind me here. Excuse me. I'm going to let her out. But I'm still here. I'm just, on these nice days, she likes to go. She was out right before I went on live, but here we are. Let's see. Okay, very good. Let's see here. Hello, I'm back. Alrighty, so what was I thinking? Okay. I can't even remember. I'm distracting myself. I told you it's a lot of input for my brain to be going live. So if you like a little bit of chaos, at work I'm much better because I have everything written down and right in front of me. So it's much easier because, you know, I get to know my patients. I evaluate them. I know what I'm going to do. I have a whole plan for each session. But when I'm doing these lives, sometimes for me, it feels like a little bit of chaos and carrying on. But since I did the major muscle groups, oh, you know what? That's not what I was doing. I was going to do some hamstring curls. So as I was saying, I don't have ankle weights handy, but I do want to do the hamstrings a little bit. So what I'm going to do is just bend one knee at a time towards the buttocks. And as I'm doing these, I'm just making sure that my leg that I'm bending stays behind the stationary leg. I don't want it to come forward because that gets a little bit more of the hip flexors. But if I go back like this, I can feel all of these muscles activating through here. And since I don't have a weight, I'm just going to go ahead and bend and straighten a few times. And that would be good, because this isn't too hard. This is pretty easy. And again, as I'm doing these, I do want to have that slight bend in my stance leg just to keep the muscles on this side getting that co-contraction. Because if I were to straighten my knee all the way, I could just hang on the ligaments like this. So if you see here, I'm hanging on the ligaments. This leg's hardly doing any work at all. But if I put a little bend in the knee that I'm standing on, then all of these muscles have to activate. And so it gives work for the stationary leg and the moving leg. And that's what I like to do, because with a lot of the people I'm working with, even though they may have trouble on one side of their body, they're usually a little bit deconditioned overall. So if we work both sides, then say if it was my right leg that was bothering me and I'm doing these over here, but now I go ahead and do some hamstring curls on my left. If I keep that nice bend in the knee and keep my core muscles activated, then I have all of these muscles here contracting as I'm bending my knee. And so then I get the stability. And that stability is important for things, you know, even just walking stairs, going up and down the stairs. That's a big one for a lot of people. Most people that I work with, they have those 2 or 3 stairs to get into their home. They might also have a basement. And in my area, the basement is usually where the laundry is located. So if they can't get down to their basement, then they have to have someone help them with their laundry, or they're kind of stuck in a situation. So being able to do the stairs. Now, sometimes people might have a 2nd-story bedroom, and that's a whole situation too. We need to be able to get up and down there. So, oh, you know what? I have my footstool. So I'm going to go ahead and get my little footstool out. And I'm going to, oh, there we go. I'm going to do a stepping up exercise. So, but before I do the stepping up exercise, what I'm going to do is do a balance exercise. And this one is just tapping left and tapping right. And I like this one because it forces you to shift weight. I've got my counter nearby just in case I lose my balance. I've got my chair in front. If you wanted to, you could have a chair on the other side. And I'm just lightly touching here. And that gets our foot ready to go up on the step. So when we do the stepping up, we know that we can get on the step safely. This step here, I believe it's about 6 inches high. If 6 inches high is too high for you, one thing that works really well is an aerobic step, like the bench step. They're usually come in different heights or where you can make them higher and lower. So the 4-inch is great for people that are just getting started with being able to do stairs again after being injured. So the next one we're going to do is just stepping up and coming back down. And what I like to do when I'm doing these, because if I'm doing a strengthening exercise, I like to fatigue the muscle. So I'll step up with the left and down with the right. And so even though that's not the normal way most people like to do it, it feels awkward. You're working the same leg on the way up, but you're also getting that eccentric work on the way down, and that'll fatigue the muscle a little bit faster and a little bit better. Here we go. And we'll just do a few more of these. Again, I'm aiming for about 10 or so. But like I said, when I'm talking and checking out my screen, I don't always count the best, but that's okay. If I were to be getting really tired, then I would know that I've done too many, but this is just fine. So now I'm going to switch over and do the right. So stepping up with the right and back down with the left. And that way the right leg does the work concentrically, which is that going up motion, that powering up motion, and eccentrically, which is that going down motion. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So usually when I go live, YouTube takes like overnight to process for the horizontal live streams. For the vertical, I'm not sure what it's going to be, but we'll find out soon enough. I'll find out when I'm done. And then from there, if I have usable footage that I can do, sometimes I'll repackage it into a video, or it'll give me an idea for a video. But we'll see. For those of you who may have a YouTube channel. There we go. Alrighty, I think that's close on that. The next one I think I'll do is a medial step down. And for this, what I'm going to do, and I'll show it from, let's see, for this one, what I'm going to do is I'll stand with my left foot on the step. Yeah, and the other way, I'll show the right. I'll show it from both directions so you can see what I'm talking about. So medial step down is really great for knee strengthening, especially if you're a little bit younger and you really need to build some strength in the knee. So what I'm going to do is I'm standing on my step. I've got something to hold on to because this is a strengthening exercise. For my strengthening exercises, I always like to have something to hold on to. For the balance exercises, I like to have something nearby, but I don't necessarily always use it. So for this one, we lift up the toes and we keep the knee behind the toes as we tap the heel down. And so we're tapping the heel down, and that's going to focus again on that gluteus medius and the quad. So you'll feel a lot of strengthening if you were to give this a try. Here we go. And I'm looking down because I want to make sure that my knee is staying in the right position. I want my kneecap to be in the center of my first and second toes. And I want to keep it behind my toes as well for this one. Here we go. We'll do just a couple more and then we'll switch over and do the other side so you can see what that looks like. Alrighty, I think that's pretty good. So that's called a medial step down because we're working the inside of the leg mostly. So we're spinning around here. I think I'm still in the frame. Got to make sure you can see me. Alrighty. So I'm up on the step. And what I'm doing is I'm lifting up my toes. And then you can see we don't want the knee to come too far in front of the toes. Maybe a little bit, that's okay, but not too far. And we'll call that 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. That's good. And you'll notice I have my hands on my hips. And the main reason I do that is because when I'm doing these, I want to make sure that my pelvis is level. And if I have my hand here, I can tell I'm level. Whereas if I'm here, I'm not level anymore. And I can just kind of feel on the side of my hip that those muscles are activating. So that's good on that. Another one that I really like for people that are having trouble getting up and down the stairs, ideally, we would have a 4-inch bench step to do this, but this is the only one I have. I don't have a 4-inch bench step today. But what I am going to do is I'm going to stand up here and I'm just going to tap my heel down forward and then come back up this way. And this is really good. And you'll notice that my knee does go in front of my toes, but that's because when you're going downstairs, that's what happens. So your knee has to go in front of your toes in order to get down the stairs. So we're just going to let that happen. And I'm holding on lightly just for a little bit of balance. You probably notice I just did a little bobble. So I'm just stepping right on down. And so this works concentrically to go in reverse, plus eccentrically to go down forward. And that really targets the quad. So I'm going to turn around and do the other side. Alrighty. So holding on lightly, I've got the chair here if I need it. And I could, I feel like just here is good. And then I can have my hand on my hip just to make sure that my pelvis is staying level. Here we go. Ooh. Jersey's outside causing a ruckus. She's usually not very excitable like that, but today she must see something out there. So she's giving it a little warning anyways. Alrighty, so again, this, especially on a 4-inch bench step, if you're having trouble getting up and down the stairs, I feel like this is a great exercise for that because it's just going to strengthen up your legs in a different way. And it's going to help you get a little bit stronger so that eventually you can do those stairs. Alrighty, let me check out the chat. Okay, now, just because you're watching me, and I love that you're here, but if you're busy, if you've got dinner to cook and different things like that, it's okay to go do something else. Oh, it's Sandra. Hi, everyone. Hey, Sandra, it's good to see you here. I decided to do, I don't know how long you've been watching, but anyways, I decided to do a vertical live today. As you know from the group, yesterday was my 1-year YouTube anniversary. And so I thought, I was thinking about doing it yesterday, but I lost track of time. And so I thought, well, you know what? Friday's afternoon is a good day for me to go live. And so I figured, why not? Why not? So here we are. And I did. And I don't know if any of you were here in the beginning, but my very first video was how to use a large base quad cane. And this is the very cane that I used. And it's so funny because today I didn't really feel as nervous going live, but the first video I ever made, I was so scared. And it's so funny because I'm in my house with my family. You know, nobody cares. It's It's just me and my family, but I was so nervous to post that video. So I did post it. If you happen to catch it, the audio is pretty bad, but I love it. It's staying up on my channel. And this is where it all started with the large base quad cane. So I'm going to go ahead and put this guy back in the corner there and get myself another drink of water. Here we go. Okay, good to see. Oh yeah, you just joined now. Okay, very good. Yeah, so I figured to celebrate in my own kind of different way that I would just come on live and just see what happens. It's just what we're doing. So let's see, little drink of water and cheers. Okay, so good. Alrighty, so I've been doing a lot of exercises for my legs. I think I had started to do something for my arms. I didn't write down everything I was going to do today because I don't want to say that I'm a procrastinator, but I can be a procrastinator. And if it's something, if I'm feeling super nervous about, if I don't just do it when I feel like I can do it, then I won't. And I was nervous about going live vertical. And I know I don't have to do this, but I thought, you know what? I want to try it. So here we are. We're giving it a try. And yeah, that's what we're doing. So I'm going to put this away over here. And I think what I'll do now is just grab a couple of light weights and do a couple of exercises for my arms. Now, I'm sticking with the 2-pound weights just because if you've watched anything that I've done lately, I'm kind of got a little bit of it's not exactly an injury, but a small strain on one of my shoulders. My right shoulder's been bugging me a little bit. So I still want to work it out, but I don't want to do anything that's going to cause more strain to the muscles. I just wanted to get a little bit of strengthening, a little bit of a workout in there, and you know, just keep it going. So again, when I'm doing these, I've got my feet apart. I've got my core muscles engaged by drawing the belly button into the spine, and I'm just lifting out on a 45, not even a 45-degree angle, just a slight angle. I'm not all the way forward. And I'm not all the way out to the side. I'm just a little bit forward in the plane of the scapula. So we call these scaption. I'm keeping my thumbs up because when we put our thumbs down, and I'll just demonstrate this. This is one of my things I like to demonstrate. So if I have my thumbs up and I lift up my arms, I can get the most range of motion, right? If I go with my palms, with my thumbs kind of out to the sides and my palms down, then I can only come about to here. If I turn my thumbs upside down, then I'm stuck about here. I can't go much further than that. And that's because I'm putting the bones in a position that could potentially cause an impingement. And since as we get older, it's easier to get those impingements because of weak muscles in the scapula, I'm going to keep my thumbs up and just go about to shoulder level, maybe a little bit higher. I don't have a mirror in front of me, so it's hard to say. It's about even. Hopefully I'm even, and that's okay. So if you're doing these and you're not sure where your body is in space, if you happen to have a mirror where you can look in and see, you know, where you are to help develop what we like to call that kinesthetic awareness. Because where I work, we have a huge mirror. It lines one wall of the gym. And a lot of times people don't like it when we're standing in front of the mirror because they're worried about how they're looking. But it's not because we want to be critical of how we're looking. We just want to see where our body is in space. And we just need to develop that kinesthetic awareness. And if you haven't exercised in a while, you might not know exactly, you know, how high your arms are or if you're coming up evenly. Alrighty. And I think that's close to 10. So I'm just going to do a few shoulder circles here in reverse. Hopefully you can't hear the clicking because I do have a little bit of clicking going on. Alrighty. So now we're going to do a little bit of shoulder flexion. Again, for me, I like to have my feet about hip distance apart. I'll engage the core muscles and we're just coming up about here to about 90 degrees or so, maybe a little bit higher. It's okay. And we're just coming up here, just like this. Alrighty. Yeah, one of my friends from one of the groups that I'm in, because um, when you are starting to do YouTube, if you've, I don't know if how many people here have YouTube channels, it can be, I don't want to say lonely because I don't think it's necessarily lonely, but it's good to have community. And so I have some groups where I have some friends, and they popped in today, which is great. Um, I lost my train of thought. It'll pop into my head in just a little bit. But anyways, it's good to have community. So if you haven't been watching very long, what I was saying earlier is, first of all, if we haven't met, my name is Kathy. I'm a physical therapist, and exercising or doing something else, any activity that you do, it's good to have people to talk to and just, have some support there. So I have support through some of the groups of people that do YouTube channels together. And we've got some people that are kind of in a similar kind of topic as I am. And so it's kind of nice to have friends like that. So when it comes to exercising, if you don't have someone to exercise with, maybe watching a YouTube video. Now I'm just going into the overhead press. I'm just going to go nice and easy, and I'm keeping my hands in front of my head so that, again, I don't cause any problems for myself. But if you're trying to exercise and you're lacking that motivation, sometimes having some accountability, whether it's a friend or, if you know someone who's going live on YouTube that you can do some exercise with, that can be a good thing. And if you haven't exercised and maybe you've got some nagging injuries or you're just not sure, at least in the US and a lot of states, you have to have a physical therapist or a doctor's note in order to see a physical therapist in order for the insurance to cover it. So if you feel like you might need some physical therapy, I would encourage you to go ahead and talk to your doctor and see if they think that physical therapy might be right for you. Some of the things that we help address is if you're having some either acute or chronic pains, whether it be the shoulders, migraines, headaches, neck pain, knee pain, hip pain, or if you've had a surgery, of course, we can teach you the right exercises that are going to be safe to do. If you've had some sort of neurological injury or exacerbation, like maybe you've had a stroke and you need to get a little bit better balance, physical therapy is good for that. Sometimes people have MS or Parkinson's disease, things like that. And sometimes it's good for those people to come in and get a yearly tune-up, just to come in, get some home exercise programs, learn what's safe, learn what's not safe. And for a lot of people, that's extremely helpful. So, but if you have, I keep my oldest videos on my channel, it's good for a laugh. Yeah, but the thing is like, when you're first starting out making the videos, you just do the best you can. And even this is my first vertical live. I'm okay that it's kind of chaotic and a little bit messy. It's going to be fine. I'm just doing the best I can. And, I've got it set that only people who are subscribed can comment, because I know Ellen, that's where I was going with that. Ellen from Ellen's Healthy Kitchen, she had a vertical live where she was doing a walk and talk, and there was some shenanigans in the comment section. And another friend from a group, he was doing a live and I caught him. He was talking about, I can't think of his name, Emio maybe. Anyways, he was trying to do a live and people were coming in and just being really obnoxious. And so I was nervous about going live, although I shouldn't have been, because honestly, there's not that many people watching or sticking around to watch. I think most people, because it's vertical, they're just scrolling right on by. They see me and they're like, nope, not my thing. And that's okay. If if I'm not your cup of tea, I'm okay with that, because what's the word I'm looking for? I can only be me. If I try to be like a crazy presenter lady, which I feel like in my first videos, I was more of the crazy presenter lady. That's really hard to maintain over time. Of course, when I'm at work, I'm a licensed professional, but this is in my house. We're having a good time. I'm showing you some exercises. If that seems good to you, I'm glad you're here. And if not, that's okay. There's lots of other people doing other things live that might be more interesting. Alrighty. And if I can figure out how to drink without making too much of a ruckus, because I don't like the ASMR myself for that, but that's what we're doing. So let me go ahead and get the bicep curls here. So these are just a 4-pound weight. My heavier weights are someplace else. Again, I'm going to keep my feet, make sure I'm in the screen here, about hip distance apart. And I think I'm going to move this guy over. Don't mind me, people. All right, so we're just sliding this over here, and feet are going to be about hip distance apart. I'm starting with my arms facing palms in, and I'm just going to rotate to be palms up, and then we're going to come back down. So as we're doing these, we're just going to go nice and slow, because as you come up, you get the concentric motion. As you come down, you get the eccentric, and that eccentric motion is so important for the stability and control, and that's what we're looking for. Most of the people, if I had to say the one thing that most people have trouble with that I work with, it's the stability and the control. Alrighty. And I have a tendency to go fast unless I'm counting, but that's okay. I'm just going to do it until I feel a little bit of fatigue. And since this weight is a little bit on the lighter side, I can do, 12 on this one is not that hard for me unless I go a lot slower. So maybe I'll just go a little bit slower so that I can feel a little bit more of the muscle fatigue. So it's so important when you're working out just to kind of pay attention to what your body is telling you. And if you're getting tired, say you've been working along with me the whole time that we're here, if you have a chair, you could certainly do these sitting down. Now, if your chair has armrest, it might make it a little bit more tricky to do these, but you could certainly do these sitting down. There's no reason why not. Even the ones where you're coming out to the side and coming up, those are ones you could do sitting down as well. Okay, let me take a little break here because my arms are getting tired. And I do want to thank the people that stopped in and gave me a thumbs up. That's nice. That's very nice. So, alrighty. So I'm just going to rest a little bit more. When you're working out at home or at the gym, wherever you may be, it's good to rest in between sets. You can rest for a minute or so, up to 3 to 5 minutes, depending on what type of work you're doing. If you're doing like the heavy powerlifting, sometimes they rest quite a bit more in between. Another thing, if you're looking for time efficiency, is once you've exercised one muscle group, exercise an opposite muscle group, and that way you'll still fatigue the muscles, but it'll be more efficient for you. So, say you do rows and then you do chest press, for example, and that way you work opposite muscle groups and you can rest a little less in between if you're, pressed for time. All right, so another set of the bicep curls. And then I think the last ones I'm going to do are just a little bit for the scapular stabilizers. I feel like for a lot of people, those tend to get a little bit neglected. So I feel like if you're exercising your arms and your upper body, you really want to get those muscles in the upper back so that your shoulders, your humerus will stay better seated in the glenohumeral joint so that you don't get pain and impingement. So, alrighty, we'll just do a few more of these And there we go. That's perfect on those. That's good. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and set these over here. Now for the scapular stabilizers, I'm just going to do one side at a time. And I like to get the lower trap, the mid trap, and the rhomboids. So in order to get the lower trap, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my inside leg forward. I'm going to hinge forward from the hips, and I'm just going to lift up just like this, and then control the weight back down. Here we go. There's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Oh, and I forgot when I leaned forward, my microphone gets a little wonky sometimes. So I hope the sound is still okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to switch over and get the other arm. So inside leg forward, core muscles engaged. And as I'm leaning forward here, I want to keep my neck in a neutral alignment. I'm not looking up like this. I'm just keeping a neutral alignment and lifting up about even with my body. Here's number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Alrighty, we're going to go ahead and switch over to the other side, and we'll work on those other muscles that we talked about. So for this one, I'm just going to bring the arm out to the side, try to keep it about even with my body. My neck is in a neutral alignment. There's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And we're going to go ahead and switch over to this side, just resting my arm on the counter. Inside leg is forward. And the reason I like a split stance is so that as I hinge forward, I feel like it's a lot easier to hinge forward. I could just come forward like this, but for me, it's easier to hinge forward if I have a split stance. So that's how I like to do it. And I'm just resting my arm gently on the counter and just trying to make sure that I keep my arm about even with my body. I don't want to try to come way up here like this. I just want to come even. There's about 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And we'll switch back over. And now I'm going to do a little bit heavier weight for this one because I know it won't bother my shoulder at all. And for this one, what I'm going to do is, again, split stance, and I'm just lifting up. Sometimes I call this a suitcase lift or a lawnmower pull for those who still have the gas mowers. And there's actually, I don't know if you can hear it, but there's somebody, one of the neighbors is cutting the grass right now. But I think with my microphone, I think it cuts out a lot of the extra noise. So that's kind of nice. Alrighty, we'll do just a couple more of these. I'm not sure where I am as far as counting goes. Good, there we go. And we'll just switch over to the other side. And 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now, if you've got more time and you feel like you want to go ahead and do another set of all those, that's a good thing. But for me, I think I'm just going to stick with the one set today. So I believe I have been on for about, let's see, where's my timer? Over an hour. That to me seems like a lot. So, so if it seems like a lot to you, yeah, I hope it wasn't. I hope it went by as fast for you as it did for me. So, and I did decide to wear my shirt. Oh, sorry about that. I got to stop touching my microphone, but I just felt like it was falling. Anyways, so I did wear my shirt that says, "In a world where you can be anything, be kind," because I think kindness in this world is something that we need more of. And like I tell the people who watch me when I'm going live, is I do appreciate you being here. I can't express how thankful I am that you've taken some of your time on this lovely Friday afternoon to spend some time with me. I want to thank you for being here. If you like what you see, my channel is Simple Fit Physical Therapy. I have videos that come out every Wednesday. And for right now, for the moment, I'm going to be coming live about once a week. I'm trying to decide when that is going to be. But I want to thank you for being here, and I'll see you soon. Thank you so much.